Oh, are we streaming live? This is the awkward first 30 seconds when I'm trying to work out whether or not I'm live. Oh. And I've realised I haven't got a thumbnail for today's channel. So what I'm going to do is make a thumbnail as we're going live because you know what? I am that unorganised. Oh my goodness. That is hilarious, Cash. That is hilarious. Let's just rearrange some of these. And use the one from last week if we can, because I really am that unorganized. Oh, actually, can I do that? No, I can't do that. My computer's telling me off because I am shocking. Today, though, it's going to be pretty interesting. There's a couple of things I'm going to talk about. I want to put West Ham into the thumbnail because I want to talk about them. I do want to talk about Sunderland because I do want to go on about their game a little bit today as well. And obviously, we're going to end up talking a little bit about Manchester United because they are just a laughing stock. Every single time they try to do something, they do it worse, don't they? But there we go. Why have I now got Hello Kitty things? I have no idea. But that's what I've got. Awesome, Cash. We are slowly getting there. Thankfully, no one's here to see my absolutely complete debacle of trying to work out what I'm doing. Because obviously, on the biggest YouTube channel in all of the world, we have our thumbnails and everything already set up because we're, completely professional. That's exactly what we're doing. Yep, 100%. 100%. That's what we're doing. Put it on the playlist so everybody knows what we're doing. And let's go. Oh, Newcastle against Liverpool today. Is it the battle for Alexander Isak? I believe so. Well, I don't think it matters, to be honest, but I just think it's a great title. Can we get rid of that? Yes, we can. And we're almost paying attention to what we're supposed to be paying attention to. Yes, fantastic. Okay, there we go. Finally set up. Oh my God, how bad is that? And the Liverpool Newcastle game has kicked off. It's going to be an interesting game, I believe, to watch. It really will. Ah, hi, hello, how are you? Number one. Look at that, number one. Ooh. Yeah, one of the topics I was going to discuss was basically the fact I hate the way that the championship teams come up, and then they end up playing each other in the first couple of months. Well, the first couple of months is probably a long stretch. The first month or so in the Premier League, I just believe that shouldn't happen. These teams come along and they've done fantastic to get into the Premier League, and then they end up playing each other, which they've just come out of the Championship, and you just want to give them space to breathe and go to the Old Traffords and to the Etihads and all these other stadiums before they have to go back to the same thing that they were doing previously. And I do think it's like a really interesting energy shift and a power sort of dynamic of how you influx those teams back to their old mindset of being into the Championship and sort of exclude them from the Premier League by not playing a Premier League team for that. I honestly think for the first up into the international break, none of those Championship teams should play each other. It shouldn't happen. They should just let them play all the Premier League teams, and just after then, you know what? Then they can play those Championship teams that came up. Mm. Excuse me for that. I'm a little bit unorganised today. I've been out in the sun doing lots of different things, and I'm absolutely shattered. So we're going to make this. We're going to talk for a little while. One of the other things I want to talk about is refereeing, because I think refereeing in the Premier League is getting worse. And when people make these observations, I have to make it clear to them it's by design. What do you mean? It's not like people are sitting in a boardroom and they're all conspiring to come up with some sort of weird conspiracy theory that, oh, this is what we're going to do. What it actually is compliance in getting it wrong. So then that's the way what they're designing it to get it wrong. Let me try to explain that a little bit better, because that's not a good way. We're trying to get my thoughts out so you can understand what I mean. If certain things are allowed to happen and the PGMOL don't step in and do it, it's not that they've conspired to let's talk about the Manchester United goal, shove somebody in the back and then he scores a goal. They've let that go. So they haven't said, okay, we're going to let Man United all of their fouls go, but they've let that one go. So then what it looks like overall, and when it happens again and somebody else gets pulled up on it, is they're conspiring for Manchester United, or normally Manchester City, for them to get all of the calls and the like, because the rules are never just enforced equal throughout all of the games. They're all changed and they're all different, and ultimately it ends up destroying what we think of the game. Because if you're the average Joe and you come in and watch it, and you're supposed to have this VAR thing, and quite honestly, I'm not up with all the rule changes, and I've been in football for 25 years. Like, even when they changed it, when I was full on coaching every minute of the day, 7 days a week, it's all the time, I couldn't tell you if they did a bloody rule change until halfway through the season, when we finally found out, and they go, oh yeah, but you have meetings at the beginning of the season. Yeah, but no, we're not listening. I'm telling you that right now, we are not listening, because there's too many other things going on, and we want to pay attention, but quite frankly, it's one of those things is like, we'll figure it out as we go along. And with the refereeing, I think in the Premier League, there's going to the Sunderland Burnley game, staying on the topic of championship teams coming up and combining the referees together. There was an old slap to the face from a Sunderland player. Was it the other way? Yeah, I think it was a Sunderland player to a Burnley player. He should have been sent off. Absolutely raised a hand to an opponent's face. Should have been sent off. Now, they haven't conspired not to let that, to go, not to give that a red card. There's no little dark room where they've gone, whatever. But what they've now let that happen is when another player does it, it will be a red card, and everyone will go, well, hold on, it's corrupt because they haven't done it over there, but they've done it over there. That means they're not enforcing the rules equally. And then we all start talking about it and seeing what's really going on. And that's one of the annoying things, is like, it's the total and utter lack of inconsistencies in the Premier League. And they'll argue that the fact that they can't get referees in the Premier League, and I'll argue that they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing and they don't understand how to actually get referees. Okay. So let me go back to one of the clubs years ago. I was a director of coaching for, and this particular club, we had about 8,427 players. I know exactly how many players we had. And that's a whole different smorgasbord of players. I'm talking, we had Top Soccer, which was for disabled kids. We'd have them in on a Thursday for about 45 minutes. We'd have to have loads of volunteers and a bunch of disabled kids trying to play football. And every now and again, I'd show up and just to be there, just have a look. We'd have co-ed adult leagues. We'd have bulk of ours would be from we'd have under threes, under six, you name it, everything. 8,000 plus players. That's more than a lot of people have in their, playing football in the UK in their whole counties, for crying out loud. We had something, I think, one of our field areas, just one of our complexes, had over 50 fields on it. We needed 50 referees. 100 linesmen every hour for every minute to make that work on a Saturday and a Sunday. You had referee coordinators. There's a whole industry behind just making sure we've got referees to cover all of the levels of games, from the adults, from the players going for the national teams, the Olympic development teams. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and every single one's always, it wasn't so much of a struggle to get referees, but there's always a struggle to get the one referee. The one game was out, and actually, I've got a funny story about that. I might drop that in a little bit later, but I'll say as I go, because I'll forget it otherwise. So one of my boys, we started coaching together. He just finished playing in the World Cup for Nigeria. And, was it the 90? It was the one in America, 98 World Cup or whatever. And so I won't say his name, but he knows he is. He's still coaches for the Nigerian under-21 team. And He actually invented the Makalele roll, not Makalele. It was him. They copied him. Right? And I didn't have a referee, and I had to get it for I don't know, something like under 8s or under 10s co-ed girl recreation. And I've got this like World Cup player sitting there with a whistle in one hand, and I had to go get the only way you do it, because we're not paying him, is well, because he's not on the normal referees would get paid, but not if you know for like this. It's just a standing with a cheeseburger, and I've got this like World Cup style walking around the cheeseburger and a whistle, trying to control these under 8s parents, are screaming and yelling, and he's just like, because they call me England, right? Because obviously I was from England. These crazy parents don't listen. I'm not refereeing again for you. This is mad. This is insane. Yeah. But it's interesting the amount of times that you end up with someone who's like an international manager. I had one of those. He was telling me a story about how he was coaching some under 10s team and a rec level. And it's amazing the amount of people that drop down and help out when a club needs. But you don't really get that in England. There is no real club structure like that. And it comes down to the referees. What I'm saying is everyone in all these different countries I've been to have been very, very club orientated and willing to help out the clubs and willing to have more than just a team. So what does that mean? So like if you went for an under 14 team in someplace, they'd have 6 teams. That's just on the travel side. Then they'd have like the in-house rec that don't travel, and you'd have maybe 8 teams at that age group in there. You don't get that in the UK. So there's not this team orientated thing. And why that's important is because some people just don't want to be professional football players. They just want to play football. And the UK system is not really geared up to do any of that. So what that ends up doing is having an adverse effect on referees. So if you think of it this way, inside of our club, well, there's me, DOC of, thousands and thousands of people. The under 14s team, they're not the best. They're not going. None of these are looking to be on the national team players. None of these kids are looking to make pros like some of our teams. They're just under 14s. But what they will do after their game is go and run the lines to the under 12s team and make themselves $20 a game. So they become linesmen. And then when you get a bunch of linesmen, then all of a sudden, by the time they're under 16s, maybe they'll want to be a centre referee because they get paid more money for the under 12s or for the under 14s. And then as you're doing this with a mass amount of players and mass amount of referees, because mass amount of players, you eventually get some that start taking it seriously. And those serious ones then end up becoming referees and going on and doing whatever. Well, because you don't really have that opportunity, because you don't really have that club structure in England, you don't have this, we're playing for fun football. It's all about academy and being the best and all this, and we're going to call it, the GPL League. And I've heard it all. It cracked me up when they were introducing the JPL League into the UK. And it's all these stupid little algorithms that people talk about. It's all nonsense. It's all another way to make football. What was it in America when I was there? They had the ID2 identifier program, then it was the Red Bull League, then it was the Super Y League, then it was this, and it's always another league, and they always kind of change it around, give it a new title to confuse everybody and actually end up doing nothing. So when you've got this sort of infrastructure where you've got this whole body of players that's making a body of referees, and then these referees slowly come out, and then you can start getting them to referee adult games and move up the ladder. Well, when you don't have that in the UK, the fallback is pretty difficult. And when you've also got a really bad system in the UK where players can abuse coaches and referees, and they haven't figured that out, where the rest of the world has figured it out, the entire rest of the world knows how to fix this, but in England they don't. So what they do is basically it's all one strike policy. But England, quite frankly, the FA and how the Premier League work, they really are just a bunch of cowards. They won't do anything. They won't actually try to, how can I say, enforce any rules. They all just want to be wishy-washy and not really say or do anything. So what you would do in other places is you'd have player cards. So every single kid, like you do at Sunday leagues, by the way, Sunday leagues, you have your old player card, but it's enforced correctly. And that player card is kept by the referee. So if any parent or any person in your academy or anyone like that is disrespectful, that kid never gets to play again because you keep his player card. That's it. It's over. You don't get to play again. Pretty soon, the parents will find out that, well, no, little Johnny can't play football anymore. Why? Because his dad was disrespectful and he upset the referees, so he's never playing football again. Then the only way you could get that back is by going to a hearing, going through all these other little unique things to slowly get that player card back. You're right. We really need more fun. Yes, 100%. Okay, so I'll go back onto those player cards in a sec, but I want to tell you about the fun leagues. Sometimes we just want to have fun. 100%, buddy. 100%. Now, there was a couple of things when I can't remember where was I. It might have been Yank the first time I saw this, right? And I was trying to explain this when I came back to the UK about Sunday League football. So when I left my area in Sunday League football, there was over 60 teams on a Sunday League. Small little town area, 60 teams. I came back, there was none. All the leagues had folded. No one was playing anymore. Right? And I realised because this other rule that I was playing, when I walked up, they had roll on, roll off subs for the amateur level. And I was like, well, first off, I had to be registered because you're only allowed 2 professional teams onto the team, which is kind of hilarious. So they had to register me and all that nonsense. But, oh, excuse me. I thought this roll on, roll off subs was one of the dumbest things I'd ever heard. But I hadn't realised what they had realised. They started the season with 28 players on their roster, and they're all going to play football. But if you do that in England, what happens is you can only play 11 players. And then you'll sub on 3 players near the end. So that 28 that's all signed on for your Sunday League at the start of the season, by next week, you've got 22. Because those other people didn't get to play because they're not very good. And by the week after that, the same 11 players are playing. Now you've got 22. You've got 16. And by the 5th week, you've got 13 players. Because you didn't give any of these other people a game. They can no longer, like, they're not going to show up on the off chance that they might get a game. But when you've got this roll on, roll off subs lark, on every time it's a dead ball situation, and sometimes, I can't remember, I was in one country and they changed it. They said, only when your team has got a dead ball situation can you do subs. You can just sub in and out. Everyone gets to play 20, 25 minutes a half because there's always someone who's just knackered and wants to come off. And what that does is it keeps everyone showing up every week because they know they're going to get minutes on a field. You don't have that in the UK. Well, some places might start doing it, but I don't think so. Nothing that I know of. And that means that you have a whole load of people that come back week in, week out, because they're having fun and they all get to play a game of football. And even if it's for 15, 20 minutes, they know they're getting on the field 15, 20 minutes a half, instead of sitting there waiting for the last 10 minutes of the half, coming on and not getting a really, if they're lucky. And it kills all the teams because no one shows up anymore. And then all of a sudden your league's gone. And it's the simple thing of having roll on, roll off subs, which I thought was the dumbest thing ever until I actually played in a league with it for a year and went, oh, okay. And then another dumbest thing, because when I play football, when I've got time to, I'll normally play on 4 or 5 different teams and I'll finish one game and go straight to another game to play football because that's me. And there was always these co-ed leagues. And I thought, well, that's dumb. Why do you have playing with one girl on the team? And they go, come and play, you'll find out. Well, okay. So when I played for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 games, and oh my God, I totally understand it. All the guys back down. There's no violence. All the male testosterone goes out the way. None of the men want to show off because there's always a girl that it's not they're trying to impress a girl. It's they're trying to respect her. The challenges don't go in as hard because sometimes it's the girl. It's completely and utterly different. It changes the dynamic of the game. And it's something that I would never have thought would have mattered. But it does matter at the amateur level, in the fun levels, because people are having fun doing it. Yeah, that's what it's about. Everyone needs to be play hurt. Make time, your day to go and play a game and not stuck. Oh, yeah, 100% not stuck on the bench. Like, and the other thing as well is, it was different for me, but if there was a new player coming to like a team, he might not get a game for 4 weeks. He's not going to show up for 4 weeks in a row. You're not paying him enough money to do that. He's still got to it's just doesn't happen. I'm telling you, it doesn't happen. And that's one of the things I think that's happened in football, especially you've seen it go through all the levels, but also in the professional level, is they've taken the fun out of it. The fun's gone. No one's having fun. Everything's a job. Everything is so sort of high pressure, this, that, and the other. Where's the fun? You just can't go and have fun playing football anymore. And one of the other things is a lot of the places outlawed any going onto the ground, any slide tackles. If you're on the ground, it was a yellow card. They didn't care how you got onto the ground. They didn't care if you tripped over and fell on the ground. If you're on the ground, it's a yellow card. Because a lot of these other sort of leagues, when I'm much older, I've got too many football injuries. I don't want to get kicked. I've got to walk tomorrow. I'm not trying to, win the Champions League here. I'm just trying to have a game of football. We don't need, little 20-year-olds running around trying to smash into you to try to prove a point that they're better than you. Look, you're old now. Ha ha ha. No. Just we want to have some fun. And I think that's one of the major things that the UK sports and the FA is completely and utterly doesn't have any idea about. It's this elitism, being the best. Yeah. But it's not all just about that. And they always talk about grassroots football. Well, you've killed grassroots football because you don't have any fun leagues. It's not fun. None of it's fun. Yeah. And it's completely ruined it. And that's what's ended up happening with the referees, because it's not fun for the referees. They're not there having a right old laugh, enjoying the game. And you asked a question about me being a referee. Yeah. And I used to, just like I was saying about my buddy from the World Cup who stepped in to help me to ref a game. I did that a couple of times when someone was short, and I had to go in and just ref a game to get it, help people out. Why is it most football rules are introduced by people that have never played the game? Okay. Well, here's the problem. A lot of football is run by people that it doesn't matter if you played the game. By the way, I completely disagree with that. I don't ever sort of take that as a they haven't played the game, so they don't really know. What they try to do, and this isn't just football, this is in every sort of corporate environment in the world. Okay, so I've got a job to do. I need to justify my job, and I need to make money. So what I'm going to do to justify my job to make money is I am going to create a thing that has perceived value. And in this case, hold on, I've got to stop this for a minute. So that thing of perceived value is I've come up with a new rule and a new idea. So now what I get to do is I get to have meetings about the new rule and the new idea, and we get to discuss it in a committee and try to sound important. And then that ends up turning into, and it snowballs and snowballs and snowballs and becomes a rule. Because then what we can do is next year we can have 4 or 5 different committees with new opposed rules. And you hear about new stupid rules all the time, don't you? Like, why is this rule coming in? It's because people are trying to justify their jobs. That's what it comes down to, because most of these hierarchies in FIFA and UEFA and the FA are not needed. They're getting exorbitant wages and salaries, and they're trying to justify that. That's where this all comes from. Don't think that it's some sort of unique conspiracy to come up with this, or they're just doing it because they don't know football. No, they're doing it because they've got no other ideas. And they have to have an idea and bring it forward to the committee to do this, so they can say, oh, my job's worth it, and I'm value because I came up with this idea and these 4 ideas, and I shot these 3 bad ones down, but came up with this one, and this is the one we're going to do now. That's all it's about. Because if they didn't do that, they wouldn't have a job. And and it gets worse every year. I mean, there's always a new dumb rule that they're bringing in. Always. And they think it's because of, we're making it better, we're making it more exciting. Well, football's been better and more exciting back in the 80s and the 90s than it ever is now. So that's not real, is it? Oh, there's another little aspect of it as well. So this is not talked about anywhere on any of your mainstream nonsense because they don't want to talk about the truth. They don't, right? Football players are not football players. Football players are brands. Remember that. You've spent £100 million on a football player. You do not want that football player injured because he's a brand for you. That's an asset for your club. So a lot of rules they try to make. Actually, this is important because I meant to talk about this topic, and you've made me sort of spiral into it, which is quite good. It's about injuries and why players get injured more now than ever before. We have more sports scientists, we have more sports nutritionists, we have higher coaching apparently and all this, and we have more injuries than ever. Well, is that a coincidence? We're getting down that road. But there's one other factor that no one ever talks about because they don't understand it, because one, they've not played the game, and 2, it's so sort of nuanced for them to understand. It's a long sort of conversation to try to extrapolate what's actually happened. So when you were in the under 16s, right? When I was, I'm playing against men that are 30 years old. I'm getting knocked around, bullied, pushed, stamped on. My ankles are getting kicked, and I'm getting stronger and stronger. By the time I'm an under 18s player, my body is dealt with abuse from players. Because remember, this is when you could play football and punch someone in the head and it was all right. They're not allowed to do that anymore. So when they're in the under 16s now and they're just playing the under 16s, their body's not taking a beating. They're not getting their ankles knocked, their knees knocked, and all of these things that go on. Now, there is a caveat, which I'll come to in a minute, about the extended life of the modern footballer. But all of those making your body stronger made you much more stronger to resist long-term injuries. It wasn't a thing. Only was it the Steven Gerrard, Michael Owen, and Ryan Giggs had a hamstring problem. Again, no one will tell the truth about this hamstring problem. Let me tell you what it's from. Youth coaching football. They overstretch their ham. You do not stretch kids. Shock, right? They won't tell you this on any coaching license. You do not stretch kids. Muscle grows faster and is stronger than bone under the age of 16. Your bones are weak, your muscles are strong. So if you stretch that muscle, okay, you can actually elongate the muscle, so it's always elongated. So your hamstring's always going to go. That's why their hamstrings were always going, because when they were 12s and 13s, they were stretching them like they were doing to professional players, thinking this is the right way to do it, and they were ruining the players. That's why they get hamstring injuries. Their hamstring was longer than it was supposed to be. The bone never kept growing to catch up to where they had stretched the muscle out. Everybody knew it, but they didn't want to say it because, well, they're professional coaches. They genuinely, when they say, I'm a professional coach and I've got an A license, get your kid out of the club, because they're idiots and they're going to damage them physically, like properly. They don't know what they're doing. But when you were playing against adults at a younger age, your body did get much, much stronger. Now, if you look at it, how many 18-year-olds come into the Premier League and play? None. I say none, but there'll probably be 5 a season. They can't play against men. They don't play against men. So they're constantly getting this, when they finally do, and they finally start getting knocked around a bit, all of those muscles that were strong because they were shoved, pushed and pulled aren't there. It's a completely different set of muscle groups that they're using. So they end up getting injured. And when they do get injured, it's normally for a long time because, well, they're weak. That's the wrong part of it. They might be able to run longer and all this. Now it does have a benefit where their knees aren't gone by the time they're 32 years old, and when they last. Normally a player would be done by 30, 32. You see it all the time. You'd never have a Mo Salah at his age playing at such a high level. They'd be gone, because their body would be absolutely shattered. So there is that other aspect of it, that they do get to play longer and longer and longer. And like Ronaldo will still be playing when he's 104. But that is one of the important things that people don't talk about, is the fact that because tackles can't go in hard anymore, their bodies aren't used to getting hit. So when they do take a knock and a hit, all of a sudden their body snaps. But yeah, that's going back to the rules again. The bad referee. It's just a snowballing cycle. Every little thing affects every little thing in football, and eventually you end up getting an outcome that you don't understand. Why are these players getting injured? Well, because no one gets kicked when they're 16 anymore. No one gets knocked and beaten and good old shoulder charges and rammed, and then all of a sudden when they do, they can't do it. The hamstring goes. The hamstring isn't used to being actually hyperextended when they're getting smashed on a run. It's the first time it ever happens, and it pops when they're in a professional game. I hope that makes it a bit of a cash rant. Oh, what's this? Something similar when I did my coaching licenses. Kids don't have muscles. They're not supposed to lift weights. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff with kids. And remember, all kids develop at different rates. So you can have some kids under 16s and under 18s that could be fine. But as a majority, you just don't do it. Absolutely don't do it. I laugh at coaching licenses. I get it. I can't remember the last time I was on a coaching line. I probably need to go redo one just for fun so I can get kicked off it again, because they don't know what they're talking about. Absolutely don't know what they're talking about on coaching licenses. If you want to lose games of football and make bad players, follow what they tell you on coaching licenses. That's it. It's a simple thing. It's like in the UK they've got the pathway to the Premier League and all this rubbish that they teach, and you've got to do your pathway to the Premier League stuff. And I go, so how many players have you made in making the Premier League then? Oh, we've never made any players into the Premier League following this pathway to the Premier League from our club. So you've got rules to tell you to do this to get them into the Premier League, and none of your players ever make it there. Maybe do you think your system's wrong? And they're like, no, it's the pathway to the Premier League. It's like the FA have told us. It's hilarious. Also, they noticed that the license training constantly turning affects the needs the player gets. Eventually, in my country, where physicality is. Well, okay, so the effect on the knees is just football, right? So the legs run up and down like this. In football, you're twisting your knees all the time. So you have to do like there's those, I don't know if you see them, those shuttle runs where when you start off and you chink backwards and forwards when you're running forwards. There's exercises to do it. Now I'm going to tell you one of the most important exercises that no one will tell you about because they don't read. Running backwards. Is when you're doing your forward runs and your forward sprints and warm-ups, get your players running backwards. Get your players doing the same thing backwards. As much as they, on your warm-up, you do it this way, you do it that way. I never had a player I've coached have a serious injury. I'm telling you now, it's never happened. Never, ever, 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 ever. Not from someone clack. Oh, actually, wrong. I do. I had someone with a broken arm. Broken arms, I don't count. Yeah, broken arms and broken legs, they happen. But I mean like a muscle injury where that's gone. That's key. Absolutely key. And yeah, it's so strange when you actually realize the body works both ways and does different things, and you have to train it in both ways to do different things. It helps the body so much more. Oh, let's have an update on the Liverpool game. It is 0-0, and it looks like Liverpool are going to get a player sent off because there's 2 yellow cards already. But there we go. I probably won't go for the full hour today. I might only go for 45 minutes as that game is on, because I will be doing a video on that afterwards. I would bring it up and watch it, but for some reason I can't seem to get everything working on my computer where I can have the game on and talk about it at the same time as having the studio up. And it'll take me too long to figure out how to do that. Certain coaches in my country don't believe in training the goalkeeper with goalposts because it cannot consider the goal. What? Of course you train. You train as you play. Like the best training, if you ever want to do it, is just play 11v11 and stop and have everyone ready to stop and go and stop and go. I mean, there are some caveats to that. I'll give you another little cheat when I'm training as well. Actually, let's have a little look. Do I have it here? Oh, I do have a copy. I will do a revised edition. Cash's book, Move Pass Overlap, where I put out like little training manuals and stuff. It's poorly done, very poorly done. But in my book, I explain lots of different ways of training and coaching. And one of the important things so let's first go back talk about a little bit about coaching licenses, because coaching licenses are a complete farce, right? What they're trying to do is to teach you a process. So think of this: if you're doing it doesn't matter if you're doing your B, your A license is more about your playing ability, to be honest. The B license is probably better for people that can't coach, and your A pros, it's just a waste of time. That's just gatekeeping. The A pro is all about like you've got to take a long time off work and pay money, and it's gatekeeping. But what it is about a process of setting up your training sessions. So you've got to understand that most people don't. Football players can't coach. They don't understand anything. They're not very bright. I don't mean that sort of mean. It's because, well, they're not going to university. They're not doing quantum physics degrees, talking about quantum entanglement theory, M theory and string theory, right? They're playing football. So if you're talking to them about any sort of process, like one of my first major degrees was qualification in computer programming and engineering. And all computer programming is processes. Okay. Same as law. My current law degree, same thing. The thing with football is processes. So what does that mean? We do our warm up. From our warm up, we transition to our small sided game. From our small sided game, we go to our medium game, and then we play a full game. It's a process. That's what we're doing. After that, we evaluate it, see what we've done right or wrong. Have we hit our coaching points? That's all they're teaching you. They're not teaching you why your coaching points didn't work, how you didn't get it right, why this needs to be, specific, why you're teaching the technique wrong. They're just trying to teach you the flow. This is how you build a session together. That's all it's really about. Newcastle have been all over Liverpool. Wow, wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me, mate. Wouldn't surprise me. So, bad players make good coaches, yeah, and great players make, yeah. Well, the problem with the thing with bad players is they have to think about what they're doing. So they're trying to understand why they can't do those things. And then when they understand it, it's like, ask Ryan Giggs how he learned to dribble everyone. Well, he doesn't. He just gets the ball and dribbles everyone. Well, coach it. Well, I can't. That's the problem. You don't want good players as coaches. You generally don't. So all the process of being doing your license is just like getting your degree or your computer programming degree. It's teaching the procedures. Sorry, not processes in the computer. It's a procedure, just like in law, it's procedures. This procedure goes, then that one goes, then that one goes, and then that goes, and your program runs. On your football, your coaching license or your training session, we do this procedure, and then we go there. I always thought it was a load of rubbish because I was one of my first passions was Bruce Lee, and I used to do Bruce Lee's martial art, the Tao Jeet Kune Do, where basically he said all martial arts were useless, sod off, I'm doing my own, you're all wrong. Brilliant, love it. And what he did, it was focus on the techniques of individual things. So like, here's the punch, here's the kick, here's this, and then expands on it and makes those things brilliant. So when I was doing a thing, anytime I was coaching, I would work on the technique of that first. So for instance, if I was doing, I wanted to do receiving a long ball. Okay, something awful. Let's just say I'm doing that. For the first 15 minutes, I'm having two players with one ball, and they're hitting a ball, starting off at 5 yards, 10 yards, moving apart, so I can get them already, technically, be able to hit a ball, 35, 45 yards, where I want them to, before I can get them doing it on a run, in a game situation, under pressure. So I've already cleaned their technique up and got them to be able to do that before we've started. And so everybody can do that on a technical basis. Everybody, right foot and left foot, can already knock the ball 35 yards, exactly where I want them to do, at the height, so the person's receiving on their chest, not at their foot. So then we move into the next technical aspect of it. They can do it. Or whatever it might be. It could be so I do the first thing I want. I know everyone can do the technique before I move on to the tactical aspect of it. Remember, anytime, this is football coaching to a T, by the way, anytime they talk about tactical, do you know what they mean in training sessions? It means they don't have a goal set up. It's just a square. There's no goals. Anything without goals is a tactical session. It's like, well, oh, okay. But they don't tell you these things. They try to encode it to make it all sort of weird. Zidane isn't a great manager. Everyone thinks. Well, the thing with Zidane, he's at a club that he's played at for years, and he's Zinedine Zidane. Okay, and he's got level. That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. On the counter attack, Liverpool scored, and it was Ryan Gravenberch. So, yeah, the thing is, Liverpool are going to. They're devastating going forward. If you try to attack Liverpool, it's the worst thing you could probably do. You want them to get bored of attacking you and then hit them on the counter. Liverpool's going to be a hard team to crack this year. The only thing with Liverpool, actually, because I want to talk a little bit about Liverpool. Let me just finish my Zidane thing. Zidane, let me teach you how uninformed sports media is and how much they lie about everything. You heard for probably 5 years of Zinedine Zidane's going to go to Manchester United, or we'll get Zidane. A goal without a plan is just a dream, 100%. But you got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, you can't have a dream come true. So Man United were always saying, "Oh, we're going to get Zidane. We're going to get Zidane," and I'm laughing, just going, "That is never, ever, ever going to happen." Zidane didn't want to manage at Real Madrid, and it's the only club he would manage is there in Marseille, and in France. That's it. He's openly said it. The only place he'll manage after Real Madrid will be now the French national team. He will never manage anywhere else. And he's been open and honest about that. So when you have sports media in the UK saying that Zidane's going to go to Real Madrid, to Man United, you know they're completely and utterly lying, and those people have no credibility again. But there's a thing: Zidane doesn't have to coach when he was at Real Madrid. All he had to do with the players is manage them and stop them killing each other. That's all he had to do. Put 11 players on the field and just let them do the work because they're all good enough. There's certain teams out there when all the components are together, you're not coaching them in training sessions. You're just keeping them fit. That's it. Keep them fit, let them go. Keep them fit, let them go. Keep them fit, let them go. They're too good. They don't need your help. They just don't. You're not going to teach them anything new, right? They're just going to get in their way. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo in the peak of his powers. Get the ball to him. Gareth Bale, get the ball to him. One of you go score. If you go, and that's what happens. Sometimes you can overcoach. You just need to learn when to shut up, step back, and let your players do it. And if they can't, then you have to step in, take control, and get them to do it. So this is one of the things about the coaching licenses and coaching points. I'd make fun of the coaches on their coaching licenses because they would try to do their demonstration and go through their coaching points as they're giving us coach education. And I'd go, yeah, but you didn't do your coaching point. And he said, yeah, and the guy teaching the course would go, yeah, but I told the coaching point. I said, yeah, but none of the players did it. You said the coaching points, but no one did it on the field. There's no point saying it if they don't do it. You don't move to your next point if they haven't done the first point. If they cannot do the first thing, you don't just move your session on and go through it and go, oh, look, I finished my coaching session. And of course, they're teaching the course and they're getting mad at me for pointing out that they're rubbish coaches. And everyone, because what will happen is everyone on the course agrees with me and starts going, yeah, you're right. You didn't actually get anyone to do what you said you were getting them to do. And they go, oh, that's not important here. That's not important. We'll move it on. Can you please not interrupt our sessions? Oh, I thought you told us to ask questions. Yeah, I'm brilliant fun. I am. Absolute brilliant fun. But yeah, there is so much sort of gatekeeping in football, and licensing is just another way to do it. And they actually hurt you following their structure. You're better off doing what I was saying is try to find your own flow, do your own thing, and then use pieces of everything that's always worked from somewhere else before. And you'll find something positive that can actually work for you. And that's the way that you really want to become a coach. And to be honest, the most thing is coach. I mean, we were doing a tally one year, me and my buddy, and he had coached more games of football than me. And I was like, nah, you haven't. We started counting up from what we can remember because we've got all the schedules. We can look at what we've done for the last 10 years. And we had coached something like 12,000 11v11 games. And it was like, what? Because sometimes we'd do 4 a day. We'd coach like there was times when we would do like an under 12s, under 14s, under 16s, then go over to the academy and do the under 18s and then come back over here and we'd do all sorts just to coach football, just to be there. Yeah. But you've got to do more and more and more games to get better at coaching. You can't just go, oh, I've coached one game this week. Never happened. I've never coached one game in my life in a weekend. It's never happened. Always, even if I was running, my semi-pro teams or any of that pro team, you get involved in the game that someone's game the next day or someone's game the day before. As well, it helps you cheat. Because you see what someone else is doing and you copy them and you do it. I'm playing tomorrow. I'm using that. Yeah. All good fun. Oh, yeah. It's a shame I can't get the game up on the on my computer at the same time. Otherwise, I would be watching it. I am going to chip off as soon as it hits halftime, most likely, just so I could probably try to catch the second half of this game. Hello, buddy. How are you? You doing good? Yeah, because I do want to watch a little bit of Liverpool this year, and I'm going to talk about that next week on the stream a little bit more, because Liverpool's done a complete overhaul of their team. And I do want to talk about energy and the way that energy flows in football, because people don't really understand that, and they don't understand how teams can just be cancerous forever and you can't recover the energy and how that changes. United's a classic example. And Liverpool have got to be careful where they've gutted their team so much, they've lost a lot of energy. They had Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robinson, where if you watch any of the Liverpool sort of behind the scenes, those two and Curtis Jones were having so much fun with everyone. They're making everybody laugh. And if you don't have those people that are, you know that they're really good football players because you see it on the field, right? Working hard. It's not just team spirit. It's a little bit more than team spirit. Okay. Team spirit, you can have that and still be bad. It's the fact that they're good players and they're having fun and they're making everybody else have fun. Funny enough, when I was watching Coaching Kids, it's always thought that I had to force them to like me, but always really to whatever. Okay, let me teach you a trick. Okay. No, I can't get up on at the same time. So anything that's happening, you let me know. I'm going to probably cut off just after halftime because I want to watch the second half because I'm going to do a video on it later on tonight. But yeah. I heard on a counter-attacking goal after Newcastle were destroying them for a bit and didn't get a goal. So let me give you some advice when you're coaching. Day one, be the most. If you haven't sent one of your professional players home crying, you haven't done your job. Everyone needs to be scared to death of you, and I mean physically scared to death. I've slapped a player before. Right, first day I've slapped a player before, and he's threatened to sue me. Okay, I'm not joking you. He's running his mouth, thinks he's all that, and I've gone whack, and he's threatened to sue me. I had my wallet, took out my wallet, took out a couple of notes, and went, there you go, and put the money back in my pocket. It's like, do you know what happens when you do that to a football team? They all panic. Absolutely all panic. Because you're setting a benchmark of what you need to be. You're not supposed to be their friend. You're supposed to be their coach. And everyone will never cross you. By the way, that doesn't matter if it's kids, professional players. You have to be at that level. You can always make it funner, right? But if you start fun, you can never make it serious again. That's why Ruben Amorim's failed at Man United. He's everyone's friend. He can't ramp that up now. He can't go upwards because he can only go downwards from that point. You have to be here super ruthless, like Jose Mourinho, super ruthless. You can't be people's friends. You're here. You have to be. As soon as you go down to that level, it's just a matter of time before you get fired. Bruno Fernandes complaining about how oh God, he's such a bitch. I would just get him out of the club. If Bruno Fernandes, to me, I've said it every single year, every single Rat Face video, I would never have a player like that in my team. It's cancer, absolute cancer. That's the difference between what I'm talking about, like an Andy Robinson and a Bruno Fernandes. Watch when Andy Robinson, I think it was at the Everton game, I might be wrong here, when I think it was, and there was a spat. And one of the Everton players, I think, pushed Andy Robinson, and he got up and he just laughed at ha 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 ha, and then everyone kicked off because he was laughing. Right? I think it was Everton. I think he laughed at Jordan Pickford. I think something like that, and it all blew up. That's the player you want because it's funny. You don't want the one whinging and moaning because then everyone else. You sound serious. Oh, I always sound serious. It's one of the problems actually, because when you actually know me in real life, I'm kind of goofy and fun and all of that. But as soon as I'm on here, I get into coaching voice. I get into, you are going to do what I tell you. Yeah. As soon as I'm in front of a camera, it's completely different. Like when I do coaching courses and I teach, completely different. I suppose more live streams I do, I'll slowly, by Christmas, you'll probably start to see I'll relax a lot more. And a lot of it is because I haven't worked out everything, what I'm trying to do. And you'll see, you'll start realizing I'm completely hilarious. I'm not, yeah. But again, I say, like when you're coaching, you start at a level and you make everything super serious. You have to be, because you cannot be anyone's friend, because you're going to cut them, you're going to take them off your team. You're not going to pick them next week. You're going to fight. You're going to sell them. You know, there's many things you're going to do, so you cannot be their friends. So it's really important. And when you see Ruben Amorim, he hasn't got a bloody clue. Oh yeah. Like I've had players go home absolutely like dreading coming to training the next day, just don't want to be there, and that's how it should be. Absolutely, it's because they're so worried about what you're doing. All of their football takes care of itself. It's amazing how the human brain works. Is amazing. So when you've got them focused on something completely different, all of this becomes easy, second nature. The drill takes care of itself. The session takes care of itself, and it gives them the skills to do what they do. And they're so worried about what you're going to do if they don't do it right. They do it right. I mean, I will scream at a player if they don't stand exactly right by the cone. I mean, what are you doing? You're wasting my time. Go get your phone. We're going to go phone your mum and tell her that you're a waste of space. And I will go and get this phone, and I will make him phone his mum, and I'm telling him he's a waste of space. I have no problem with that, embarrassing a grown man. Absolutely none. That's what we're going to go into. And then guess what happens? Everyone runs to the cone properly. No one. And then when a new player comes into the team, everyone goes, "Oh, you didn't run to the cone properly." And everyone goes, "He's going to make you phone your mum." They'll be like, "What? He's not." Oh yeah. And it takes over itself, and it makes the mentality of the team so worried about what you're doing. They just do the drills and they just follow what they're supposed to. Look, if I was at Man United, I'd fix that team in probably about 4 days. 4 days. The first thing I would do was absolutely smash Bruno Fernandes right in the head in front of everyone. Boom, boom. He'd be done. Right? Anyone else? Like, yeah, straight away. Absolutely no problem. Is they're confused. Yeah, well, Gordon has been sent off. Oh my God, there was a red card. I called there would be a red card, didn't I? I called it. There'd be a red card. Yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea. You don't have a mouth as big as mine and a face as pretty as this without being able to take care of yourself. So yeah, but when you're in the footballing world, it's a dog eat dog world. Remember that. Everyone's a hard man. Everyone's coming for your job. Everyone's coming for you. This isn't a case where you get handed anything. No one's going, "Oh, you're good. I like you. You're sweet. Here, have a professional football career." No, that doesn't happen. It's the mean, nasty managers that stand on everybody to get what they want. And then they sit there and, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't do that. Oh no, my name's Jose Mourinho. I didn't do anything wrong. No, I haven't done anything wrong. Do you think Alex Ferguson was a nice person? Like, what are you talking about?" No. Yeah, think of how many of the Man United players were scared of what Alex Ferguson was saying and how he was thinking. Absolutely mental. So, but yeah, it's about coming up to the hour mark. I'm going to get some more topics for next week, but I think everyone's kind of distracted by the Newcastle game, so I think we're going to jump over. I'm going to go try and catch a bit of that before it ends, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, buddy. Any more questions? Don't forget to put them in the comments for me, and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.